Hello teachers, it's Teacher Lena here, and in this video I would like to share with you what it is that I do for scheduling multiple ESL companies. That can be a little tricky, and yes, it took me a while to figure out what it is or what I should do in order to not go crazy, because it was really driving me crazy. It took a lot of time to really think about how I can do this and be successful at it and not overbook or double book, right? Or forget about a class, because that happened more than I like to admit. But these are things that can happen if you have too many classes or too many companies that you're working for, and you don't have a system that works for you. But now I have a system that works for me, so I want to share it with you. Okay. So first, this is what I first did in order to get organized. I had to make a grid and figure out what I'm doing for every half hour slot or every hour slot in the day. So I would take this and I would write in all of the classes that I would have for each company. And when I did this, at first I didn't really have like a set schedule. I was just like, oh, well, this company booked here. Usually it was started with VIP. They had their parents would tend to book me like the earliest, and then I would go with GoGokid. GoGokid would fill in the rest of what VIPKID did not book, and then I have kind of a set schedule with Qkids, and then Magic Ears I have added in too. But now it's kind of changed, but that's how I would did it at first. I would write in what VIPKID did, and then after that I would write in what GoGokid did, what bookings I got, and then I would fill in the others. But that even got to be a little confusing for me, but this, you definitely want to have this if you can, because no matter what you do, you need to know what your schedule is, and to have a visual of what you're doing is so helpful. So this I made in um, what do you call it? The Google Sheets. Yes, Google Sheets. I had to think for a second. Google Sheets. You can make it, and you can you can fill in your time slots, and what hours you want to include. I've extended it. At first I didn't have so many hours in the day, but now I've extended it to have more hours because I do more hours in a day. So that's tip number one. Write down where you need to be. I was really good about doing this system for a while, and it worked for me, but I would spend a lot of time trying to fit pieces together and just, you know, this is the time of day where I get a lot of notifications. So sorry for all the sounds that you hear. But anyhow, this worked for me, but I had to really, spend a lot of time writing down like where I needed to be. And it didn't always work, because for some reason I might forget to write it down. you know, like I would schedule a class and then I would forget to close slots in another company, and then they'd end up booking me, and then I'd have double booking. So that, even though it seemed to be really organized, it didn't always work for me. So I had to figure out, okay, how can I do this so I don't have double bookings, or have problems with missing classes. So I figured, let me just assign each company a set time. As I taught more, then I would get more bookings. So the problem of not getting the bookings was not so much a concern for me anymore, because at first I just wanted to get any bookings I possibly could. But then as I was getting more bookings, I said, well, let me try to make this a little bit more easier to remember. And so that's when I decided to give every company a time. So I would know, like, okay, it's this time, I need to be over here. I need to open up this platform. And so that really worked. So I gave every company, at first it was giving every company a day, and then I decided to give them just a set time. So you'll see when I show you my schedule that there's a set time, It's not always the same, one company per day, but at least it's a set time that I know I need to be with this company so that, I know when I need to change. And that way it's like mentally you start, it becomes a routine. Like, okay, it's Tuesday, I need to do this. It's Thursday, I need to do this. So this is what my schedule looks like now. Okay, so I decided to use GoGokid, their schedule, to show you my schedule overall because I teach mostly with GoGokid these days. And so you'll see that the pink or the salmon color is GoGokid. And this is Monday. This is right after I've gotten most of the Sunday night bookings. Usually you get most of your bookings on Sunday night. They call it the frenzy. And so you can see the light salmon areas are the places that have booked. And I just opened up these top ones here because I decided I'm going to add some more classes to my schedule because it's turning into daylight savings time and I think I could do it. But anyhow, so Monday is my time to be a go-go kid. Tuesday is my time to be a go-go kid in the morning. Most mornings is go-go kid because they have the most availability. But it took a while for me to get those classes booked when I first started. I had to actually make sure that I opened them up at first, but they didn't always book. So now they're starting to book earlier. And then the blue areas are my Qkids. I work for Qkids. These are the hours I give them. They ask for a total of 12 classes or 6 hours. And so if I do this schedule, that opens me up for having 12 classes. And then if I need to cancel, they're very good about allowing me to cancel. So I can usually on Saturday nights, I'm not sure if I'm going to, be available to teach or not. But if I have them, the classes, I can always decide to let them go or to cancel them if I want to. So this is my schedule for Qkids. And then I have the purple schedule is Magic Ears. Magic Ears, they asked for 10 slots, so that's 5 hours. So I give them about 5 hours, but they're not really, they're very flexible. So if I don't open up 5 hours for them, I can. Their platform is so flexible that I can close my slots the day before. I don't have to give them a set schedule weeks in advance. I can make my schedule that day, that week, that it's how it's my control. I control it. So this is what I open up. I tend to open up and I can change that if it doesn't work for me for the next week. And so that's how I remember that I'm working for Magic Years on those days. And then the rest of them are go-go kids. But this works for me. I can mentally keep this picture in my head and I know this is where I need to be on these days and at these times. And sometimes I can tweak it a little bit if I need to, and that's okay, but at least I have a pattern going. And then my evening times, right now I'm opening up with Go-Go Kids. Last week we had a lot of bookings with Qkids and we still do, and I can work on the evenings right now with Qkids because certain times of the year they let you have evening hours. But right now I'm trying to open up some more slots with GoGo Kids, and that's what my slots look like, my times look like with GoGo Kids. And if I, there are a couple of other companies that I've signed up for that I didn't put here, but there are times that I will, change this a little bit just to add another company if I want to extend my hours. Because in the afternoon, the children in China are sleeping. And if I want to teach adults, iTutor group, I can teach adults in the afternoon. So after the children are sleeping with Go-Go Kids and Qkids and Magic Ears, then I can teach for iTutor group in the afternoons. But they do want you to have some peak time hours too. So I can give them, I told them I could work with them on Fridays. I don't have them on my schedule here, but I do have availability with them open for Fridays, but I could cancel with them also. They're very flexible like that. But then they want to have peak time hours from you, like 5 hours. So I do give them some time on Friday that is not showing here, but I do give them some time on Friday too. But for a while they weren't booking. They kind of slowed down, so I just started opening up a GoGokid, and I closed those slots with iTutor group. I could do that. But this is after I've kind of gotten this pattern down, and I can work it that way. But when you first start out, just simple, you might want to start give each company a day. And then after you give each company a day that you want to work with them, then you can adjust it, tweak it a little bit more, maybe give them a time of day, like between the hours of 5 and 7. You want to work with this company. But if you mix it up more than that, it gets very confusing, and you run the risk of having many double bookings or forgetting about bookings for another company, because you have to constantly keep that schedule in front of you to look at it. You're tied to your schedule. It's still healthy to have that schedule and to look at it and refer to it, because you do, when you're teaching online, especially like me, I'm teaching online full time, so I have many other obligations outside of the ESL, the English companies that I'm working for. I have my own students, so I have to make sure that I write them down on my calendar too. So I do need to reference my calendar, but you don't want to be tied to it when you're dealing with these companies, because it really, missing out on a class for some companies, that can cost you $20, or you might lose your whole bonus for that week, and that could be, you know, $30 or $60, so it's like you don't want to miss your classes, and then the more classes you miss, the more likely you run into being, terminated or not having your contract renewed. So you have to be responsible. You have to make sure these things do not happen. But this is my system. One thing that you will notice is that I did not schedule breaks in my morning, because I have worked up my stamina to be able to teach 9 classes in a row. I could do that. But that's because, one, I've been doing this for close to 2 years, and two, I am a kindergarten teacher before I was a teacher online. So I'm used to teaching for long periods of time. But if you're not used to teaching, you might want to schedule some breaks in for yourself, so you're not, getting drained and you lose your energy, and it just becomes a problem. But then you can build yourself up to having 9 classes in a row. But when I first started out, yeah, I didn't actually start out at 9. I started out at having, like, the most I could do was 3 classes in a row, and then I went to 4, and then once I stopped working at, at the school, then I was able to extend my day, and I had a lot more energy to do classes online for longer periods of time. But it is wise to schedule bookings or schedule breaks in there. And for me, I don't schedule breaks right now, but I do hope and pray for a no-show. And when I get a no-show, I'm like, oh, so nice. So, but that's just how I do it. But we have to make sure that we keep our energy up and we do not overbook ourselves, because it is very difficult. You only get 5 minutes between classes, sometimes 10, and it's easy to just run out of energy, and be careful not to open up more slots than you can handle, because some people have opened up slots, and they've opened up like maybe 12 in a row or 24 in a row, or some crazy number, and then there's all of a sudden a demand for those time periods, and they get them all filled with no breaks. And then what do? So you can cancel some, but you're limited to cancel only so many before you get penalized. So you want to only open up as many as you can handle in a row, and then make sure you have breaks in between. Don't do too many. You might be wondering, why have all these companies to work with? I mean, why put yourself through the torture of having so many companies to have to juggle? Well, as I've said in the past, and you may already know this, you may have heard other teachers say this, but you should not put all of your eggs in one basket. There are some teachers who are very successful and having one company they teach for, and they get all the bookings they need. And usually those are the teachers that started out with that company when the company was in their infancy. And so they have all the classes. They're very popular amongst the parents, and so they don't have a problem. Or maybe they don't have a, the hours that they need might not be as many as the next teacher. So we all have our different situations, but many of us do need to have more than one company. And the way that this whole market is shifting, it's like the companies that would give you solid bookings all the time are not able to do that all the time anymore. So, and you don't know when it's going to be a dry period for this one company. So to have a backup company so that it does not interfere at all with your flow, and you can, you know, maybe open up more classes or slots with this other company, since maybe your main company is not giving you as many as you want or many as you need. So it's like you have to pair them together and play off of them so that it works for what you need, because ultimately you don't want any type of, interruption of your cash flow. So having more than one company is very important. You might, work for a company and realize, what, I'm just getting, this company is just not working for me. So having another company, maybe a third company, would show you like, well, maybe I'll just concentrate on these two companies and I'll just have to let this company go because it's not working for me. Or maybe they just aren't giving me what I need. So it's like trying to find that balance between all of them is really helpful, because I hear many teachers say, like, I'm just not getting any bookings with this company. Other teachers are, but I'm not. And don't stress yourself out. There's too many companies out here for you to work with that could be a better fit for you than, instead of just sitting down and just feeling the torture of the one company. No, it's nice to have options in this world. You can have options in this market, and you know, it's very helpful. So that's why I decided to have multiple companies and, fill up my schedule, try to add more teaching in the afternoon because I'm available to do that, and trying to find another company or different companies to allow me to do that. So
And
that's
I hope
why that you can come up with a system that works for you. And if you have any questions about what I did and the companies that I work with, I'd be happy to help you out. Leave a comment down below, and I will respond, or you can email me. I do leave my email in my description box along with all the companies that I work for. So if you want a referral link for any of these companies, I will leave the information down below. And I do walk through, with my referrals, I walk them through the whole process so they can, know what to expect, that they can have a person to ask questions from. And, if you need any coaching along the way, I would be happy to offer that for you too. So thanks for listening to my video, and I will see you in the next video.